Hi. So, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here too. How was October? How was November treating you? I can't believe we're already like in the middle of November. What the hell? October was a wild ride for me personally. We had those two eclipses. Uh, man, you know, good stuff, but like overwhelming stuff too. So, just trying to take it one day at a time. So, anyway, I hope you're doing well. Tell me everything. Tell me how it's going for you. This time around, I don't think I've ever used this deck on this channel. Um, it was one of the, not first, not it. I got it sooner than I probably should have because that's how I roll. Um, and it's really cool. So it's double-sided. It has, you know, kind of the front facing view and the back facing view, which I don't, it's just kind of cool. So this is the Vice Versa Tarot, and this is the woman in total control of herself. And obviously, if you are not a woman, it's still going to apply to you, but it just so happens that, obviously this deck, that's the name of it. But again, I've had this for a couple months too, and it kept kind of calling my name. So I've responded in true manifesting generator form. So without making this intro too long, we'll get into it. Great. So this is a reading for the 3-5 or Martyr Heretic profile. If you don't know your human design profile, there's a link in the description below. You can find it there. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, you can you can get your human design chart for free, and your profile will be one of many things to discover in your human design if you haven't yet already. So we have the wing leader. Really quick, because I cannot be trusted to say this to like repeat myself 12 times. That's why I do intro videos. But I usually have a little something to share with you about your profile that I found on the internet somewhere, because my favorite way of learning is by learning through other people. I don't do well by reading a book and then just being like, oh, I could go build a car now. So I've been like that since I was a kid. But if other people shared their understanding of what they read, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So anyway, I am inviting you to share your understanding, your experience with your human design profile, or really any aspect of your human design. If there's something else that's kind of blown your mind, or just made you go, And obviously not only just for me, but for anybody else who would be reading these videos. Just a way to help each other and share perspective and learn. So let's get your tarot cards out. We'll read about the wing leader once we do get all of your tarot out. And then, of course, with these cards, since there are images on both sides, we'll take the image that's basically showing to us. Like, I'm not gonna, flip them over, which I'm sure is maybe obvious, but yeah. We have the Page of Swords, which is interesting because the Page of Swords is also in the air. I mean, they don't have wings. Not that they need to. We have the Knight of Cups. But it is interesting that it's also in the air when the oracle card that came out is flying. We have the 5 of Wands, the 5 of Pentacles. Interesting. The 4 of Cups and the Queen of Wands. And then the Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Death card, Page of Wands, Queen of Swords. Interesting. Okay. All right, so let's read about this first. The Wing Leader. I hope you can see the card. Okay, the both of these cards, or these decks, are super high gloss. So glare is crazy. So this says, this is your call to action. Leap, soar, explore. The time for contemplation has passed. You are required now to take a leap of faith and put your energies into motion. While it is unwise to take action before an idea or project has fully marinated, too often we don't trust ourselves enough to act. But as a famous poet once says, action has genius in it. The moment to put your energy behind an idea, you've begun the transformative process that is creation itself. Mighty forces, often unseen, will move on your behalf. Love that. Do not hesitate. Put your brave boots on and be the girl who decided to go for it. If failure is your fear, remember that failure is an amazing teacher and will guide you toward your next success. If the unknown is your hesitation, gently encourage yourself that the unknown is where all new life is born, and you deserve a new life. A witch is unapologetically bold in pursuit of her passions. Once she has asked for guidance and brewed her desires in the cauldron of alchemic patience, she is willing to be vulnerable enough to take a risk. She is willing to experience the highest, brightest version of herself and the truest vision she has for her life. Leap and the net will appear, or you'll grow wings on the way down. Either way, it's time to jump. I fucking love that. Excuse me. Also, of course, I know the book is using she, her pronouns because the deck is literally called Woman in Total Control of Herself. However, of course, we're all inclusive here. He, she, they pronouns. So obviously, take it how it fits for you. So it's interesting because there is very much that vibe in this reading. I love that there's 2 pages here also. There's actually 3 pages because the Page of Wands is under there too. So anyway, okay, let's just start at the beginning. We have the Page of Swords. And, the Page of Swords having to do with ideas, thoughts, inspiration. It's our mindset also because it has everything to do with the mind. It's objective truth too. I also see swords as being the suit of our ego because our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, to feelings, to people, to ourselves, right? And whether they were true or not, or whether they were ours or not. And, of course, our ego, it's the reason why we do and don't do things, right? And I love that the book was talking about taking that leap because, we can get stuck in that push and pull in our head of should I, shouldn't I? Is there enough? Or, and especially too, I think I love that it was talking about failure or mistakes being part of the learning process, because that is very much part of the 3-5, right? The third line, especially a conscious third line, it's trial and error. Like, you are going to figure out the way that something works by discovering all of the ways that it doesn't work, right? So then you can say to somebody, no, that's not going to work. And they're going to be like, are you sure? And you're like, oh yeah, I've tried it. And I've tried that way in these different forms and it still didn't work. So this is the way, this is the way that I discovered it did actually work. But with the fifth line on the unconscious side, people might project onto you in some capacity, and that might create some sort of insecurity that you might just not be aware of because it's on the unconscious side. So it's not something that's like kind of bam right in front of your face. So, and it's interesting too that, this is a 5. But the page, I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but the Page of Swords is trying new ideas. It's taking action or even communicating a new idea. The slight warning with the Page of Swords is to keep an open mind, because the Page of Swords can be a bit cocky or arrogant, like they know better than anybody else type of thing. So, and I don't know, like with this card, even their face, I don't know if you can see their face, but this to me just kind of has this feeling of like being defensive about an idea, or maybe it's like you don't want to share it because you don't want to receive criticism, or you're not necessarily open to like feedback or something along those lines. It could even be because, right, like that hesitation or that being closed or defensive in a way would come from insecurity, because it's like you don't want to have your own insecurity mirrored back to you. It's like one thing to think it yourself, but if somebody says it to you and it's like, oh my God, they just validated my, like my insecurity or my lack or whatever, right? So it must be true. No, I mean, it's true that it's there, but it's not true in the sense of divine truth, right? It's just, it's ego. So the 5 of Pentacles talk about our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time, like what are we putting our physical time into? Where are we physically showing up in our lives? It's also our physical body and our health. So this pairing to me feels like mindset is a bit in the gutter. Because, in the 5 of Pentacles, we can see they're sitting outside in the cold, right? Just kind of feeling left behind, or kind of feeling, I want to say emancipated. But maybe this is the fear, right? Like the book was talking about, if we're focusing, if our mindset is focusing more on the ways that something is not going to work, there's no energy available to create the ways in which it is going to work. Like if we're just focused on how it's not going to work, we're only going to see that something isn't working. We're not going to see that, that mistake, quote unquote, that error, that thing that didn't work out. So I tried it didn't work. But you just switch it up a little bit. You're like, okay, so that doesn't work. Let me try it this way. And that way might work a little bit better, but not quite, But if we keep focusing on how something isn't working, then it's almost like, we just cut ourselves off at the knees. Like we won't continue trying, And if we do, then it's almost going to feel like torture, because it's not fun to constantly be worried about it not working, whatever it is. And I love that we have this Knight of Cups here with the Four of Cups, because the Knight of Cups, we can see, right? There, it's an offer. Cups having to do with our emotions, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about what we're doing, how we feel about our lives or the people in our lives. The Knight of Cups is like the knight in shining armor, as we can see in the tarot. So it's kind of like they show up to save the day. This could be somebody else coming in to offer you something. It could even be an apology. It could be an offer for work or whatever. But it is something that you would need, though, because again, right, knight in shining armor, they're going to show up exactly when you need them to, and they have their cup outstretched. They also lead with their heart, but you could be the one offering something that you love to people. It could be somebody coming in to offer you something that you are going to feel good about. And this is being offered to you, because this side of the card, it looks like they're just having a fun nightly stroll on their horse with like a glass of wine or something, right? But like on this side, it does look like they are offering you the cup. Or again, right, it could be you offering your cup to somebody else. It does not have to be romantic. It can be, it could be business. It could be, platonic. And then with the Four of Cups, the Four of Cups generally talks about boredom and lethargy, kind of, like dissatisfaction. I feel like that's what this side of the card talks about, because there's these Four Cups here. This guy is sitting back there like meh. But on this side, there's this ship coming in. And maybe, these Four Cups here, maybe those are cups that you have tried. Maybe you have tried things that you have loved, you've felt good about. Maybe they didn't go in the way that you wanted them to, but maybe it also brought you to these other things that you enjoy and that you love to do. So I kind of love that both of these cards almost kind of feel like there's something coming in. There's this offer coming in some capacity, and there's a ship coming in too. Because that saying, your ships come in or whatever, right? It's like opportunity finally shows up. The information that you need finally shows up. The inspiration. Since we're talking about cups, it's like that thing that really speaks to us. That finally clicks, And then we have the Five of Wands with the Queen of Wands. Very interesting, because the Five of Wands, fives are also transitionary energies, just like the Five of Pentacles. Like, it's nothing to pitch a tent and get stuck in, right? Like there's nothing that says that it's permanent. It's always temporary. And the Five of Wands, anytime the Five of Wands comes up, I think about Mulan. Because, when they like show up to warrior training and it's an absolute shit show, right? And the prince or whoever he is, he's like, I don't know how I'm going to turn these people into warriors. And then all of a sudden, and with the big help of Mulan climbing that pole, right? But things turn around. And their training pays off, and they're able to go to war and be victorious, right? And that's what the Five of Wands is. It is conflict. There can be a level of competition. And maybe the field that you're going into or that you want to go into, maybe it is competitive. But you have the gusto, like you have the juice, you have the thing to do it, first of all. Second, it's also about training. Like, you know, the wands have to do with action. It's the motivation behind the actions that we take, creativity, passion, how are we communicating those things? It's also information, because that's what we get by trying things, right? You figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't work. What do you like? What don't you like? What stays, what goes, right? So that's what the Five of Wands is about, is there's this training period to get you conditioned for the next step. There's this volcano that's erupting back here. These guys don't seem too concerned with it. I would be running. But also it feels like, this card to me feels like there's a lot of energy around this thing. And maybe it feels prickly, or it feels like there's a lot of tension. I mean, this side of the card, the only difference is that there's not a volcano erupting, right? This could even be, you know, feeling backed, not backed into a corner, but like up against like a time crunch in some capacity. But also, you know, I mean, both of these guys have two wands. So it's like there's an even match here. So if it is competitive, it's like a message about, you know, like allowing yourself to be competitive. You know, I mean, you don't have to be competitive in the kind of low vibe sense of like just stepping on toes and, you know, whatever. But it is just like allowing yourself to show up, allowing yourself to be seen. And again, I mean, maybe there is this idea, like it's something about with this volcano. It's something about, you know, something exploding. Not in a bad sense, though. Like it feels good. It feels like something taking off, or almost even, you know, kind of faded timing type of thing. And then we have the Queen of Wands. It's interesting because the focus here is on all of these vines and how these vines have created her throne, right? I mean, of course, there's this figure back here, but they're also like the queen is looking forward, right? I mean, this could be a desire of some sense, like, you know, wanting to be recognized or celebrated in some capacity. The Queen of Wands is very confident, creative, like, you know, they can express themselves creatively, honor their desires, right? Because on this side, look at the difference, you know? Eyes are closed. It's all green back there. It's interesting that the card at the end of the reading is like looking towards the future. And we're also, you know, again, this focus on these vines that created this throne. There's this thing about like recognizing what it takes to get to this level. All of these different layers of things, right? But also even the ability for them to grow. Very interesting. We have the Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which is okay. I'm trying to say too many things at one time. The Page of Cups is more imaginative, creative, right? Like, allows themselves to have fun, be present. There's also this intuitive aspect to it because they're coming out of the water, but they're still immersed in it. There's this fish jumping out of their cup, which again speaks to manifestation and imagination, but like allowing your imagination to expand. You know, like seeing the bigger picture instead of just a little skosh of it. The Death card, something ending so that something new can begin. And then the Page of Wands. Look at this Phoenix that's coming after the Death card. This could even be, since this is the order that it's gone in, this could even be just an idea that you have, right? That you imagine, create, intuit. It's going to transform in some capacity, and we have this Phoenix rising from the ashes. And even with this volcano here, you know, like there's this thing about rising above, and even just, you know, the energy to do that, to be reborn. And more fire here too. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm leaving it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.